Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a huge book unhaul to do. And just like with last time, I'm letting each of you claim any of these books that you want. The important things to know are that you have to be in North America and it's one book per person. And that if you're under 18, you have to have your parents' permission to give me your mailing address. Please understand, if you claim one of these books, you do have to give me your mailing address. Otherwise, I can't get the book to you. So we're going to start out this unhaul with two books from the last unhaul that I was never able to send out because while they were claimed, these two individuals did not give me their information. So I still have them. I don't want them. And I'm giving everybody else a chance to take them. Just briefly, those two books are I Found You by Lisa Jewell. This was purchased from Book Outlet. And The Life We Bury by Alan Eskins. This was purchased from Amazon and I only read it once. It is an otherwise clean copy. Moving on to this new huge unhaul. There were a few books that going through and trying to organize my shelves, I found duplicate copies of because I suck at life. Also, I placed a huge order on Book Outlet, and when it was shipped to me, the box broke open. And out of 17 books, I only received like 9. Book Outlet ended up reshipping to me the ones that they still had in stock, which means that I have duplicate copies of those. Now, those are all unread, so I can't really give you an opinion on the book, and you haven't heard me talk about the books, but they're brand new from Book Outlet, and Book Outlet just made me promise that I would pass them along to other excited readers, so that's what I'm doing here today. Here we go. This is huge, like I said. First is a duplicate copy of a book called No One Knows. This is by J.T. Ellison. This is the story of a woman whose husband disappears and is declared dead 5 years after the fact, only she's convinced that she's seeing him. And it says, a mysterious yet strangely familiar man has suddenly appeared in her life. I haven't read this book. I haven't read this copy. It's brand new. I can't say for sure where I purchased it. Yes, I can. Book Outlet. I keep these things written in the front of the book sometimes. So brand new, purchased from Book Outlet. Let me know if you are interested in this one. Next was a really big oops. I picked up Not That I Could Tell by Jessica Strasser from Book of the Month twice. And again, I have not read this book, but I do have 2 copies of it. It is the story of a group of friends that get together and are just kind of hanging out. One of them actually ends up disappearing. The disappearing woman is a mother of twins. I'm not sure that I'll be getting to this book anytime soon, but it is a brand new Book of the Month version. I don't know if you're familiar with Book of the Month. If not, they come with, Book of the Month seals imprinted on them. And I would say that they're probably a little lower quality than your typical hardcover book. The pages are a little bit thinner, but other than that, it's in perfect condition. So I said I would be honest about the condition of these books. Next is the book Where They Found Her. This is by Kimberly McCrate. This book is great. I listened to the audio version, which is a little bit confusing, but I did end up giving it 4 stars. It's the story of a very, very young child baby, found dead near a river one day, and the ensuing mystery of figuring out who the child belongs to and who killed the child. It is one of Books and Lala's favorite thrillers of all time. It has a 3.84 average star rating on Goodreads. This particular copy I've never read, but it was purchased used. That said, it's in absolute perfect condition. I'm not sure the person who owned it before had ever read it either. Let me know if you want Where They Found Her. Next is The Night Olivia Fell. I reviewed this on my channel. You feel free to watch that review. This is the story of a girl who lies pregnant and brain dead in the hospital after taking a fall from a bridge in town, and her mother makes it her personal mission to figure out what happened to her daughter. This book was purchased brand new from Amazon as soon as it was released. I've only read, actually, I didn't even read this. I listened to this on audio, so this copy has never been read before. Next is The Line Between. This is by Tosca Lee. I recently read and reviewed this book on my channel. It's the story of a woman who is exiled from the religious cult she's been a part of for 15 years and finds herself sort of in the midst of a real-world apocalypse with everybody going crazy with early onset dementia. Now, her sister and niece also are members of the cult, and her sister shows up at her door one day with proof that the cult is somehow involved in what's happening in the outside world. And our main character has to take this evidence to someone capable of using it to create a vaccine for those yet unaffected by this mysterious plague illness thing that's ending the world as everyone knows it. Bah! This book has always been a nightmare to explain. Always. It was a nightmare to explain when I received it in a haul. It was a nightmare to explain when I was reviewing it, and it's a nightmare to explain now. Not a nightmare of a book. I think I gave this 3 stars if I'm remembering correctly. I was sent this copy directly from the author. It was brand new, and I've read through it once. Other than that, absolutely untouched. Perfect. Now we're getting into the book outlet books that I received 2 copies of because of a damaged shipment. One of those books I already had a copy of because I suck at life. Say it with me. And that is The Killing Hour by Paul Cleave. I got 2 from Book Outlet, and I actually already had one on my shelves. So, It's about a guy who wakes up covered in blood only to learn that 2 young women had been murdered the night before. He can't remember anything about that night. It's described as a heart-pounding thriller. And Charlie is kind of in a race against time to find the actual killer, or who he thinks might have been the killer, before anybody sort of cottons on to his situation. I have a lot of Paul Cleave books, none of which I've read, because why would I do that? Why would I read books that I actually buy? I don't know, especially books that I buy multiple times. So 2 copies of this. These are brand new from Book Outlet. Let me know if you're interested in that little gem. I will, everything else is first come, first serve. So in this case, The Killing Hour will be listed twice down below, and the first 2 people to claim it will be the recipients of a copy. Sorry, my camera probably adjusted because I ran into it. Next is the book Little Black Lies. This is by Sandra Block. This is the story of a doctor working in a psychiatric ward where a new patient arrives who has been sentenced to treatment for killing her mother. And that sort of awakens this doctor's lingering curiosities about the death of her own mother, which took place long ago and she can't remember. So this is Little Black Lies is about madness and memory and the dangerous little lies we tell ourselves just to survive. So it's blurbed also by Heather Gudenkoff. Long story. It says a darkly intriguing mystery that pulls you in deep and doesn't let go. Next is a book called The Damned. This is by Andrew Piper. This is the 3rd Andrew Piper book that I have purchased and not read. This is the story of a man named Danny, who is the surviving twin of a house fire that happened some 15 or 20 years prior. And his twin sister, Ashley, was killed. And unfortunately, Ashley keeps haunting Danny. The book alludes to him having to go to Ashley, where she currently resides, to get her to stop haunting him. Kind of like going to hell kind of a thing, it sounds like. Smart, inventive, this is what demons, living or otherwise, human or not, do best. They mesmerize, they seduce, they stop us in our tracks. This again, brand new copy from Book Outlet. I'm actually really looking forward to reading it now that I'm sitting here telling you guys about it. Next is the book Bonfire by Kristen Ritter. This is a pretty popular, well-known book. This is about a female lawyer who is drawn back to her hometown by a case involving a plastics manufacturer or something. As she begins investigating, she realizes that this current case seems tied to the disappearance of her childhood friend or schoolmate, and she ends up unearthing a disturbing ritual called the Game that will threaten reputations and lives, exposing a darkness that may consume her. It sounds very interesting. I do know that a lot of people thought so and weren't overly impressed by the finished product, but like I said, it's wildly popular, so I'm willing to read it. Next is the book The Big Rewind. This is by Libby Cudmore, and this is the story of a mixtape that arrives in the wrong friend's mailbox, and then the friend that was the intended recipient of the mixtape winds up murdered, and her boyfriend is arrested for the murder, but the actual recipient of the mixtape is somehow being led to the actual killer. I picked this up because I'm obsessed with throwback, like 80s throwback stuff. This doesn't take place in the 80s. I mean, this is set in current times. But I mean, come on, we're talking about mixtapes, for crying out loud. If mixtapes were not a serious part of your life, you have absolutely no idea what you've missed. Straight up. So it just sounds fun and quirky. It says it's the high fidelity for women. Smart, poignant, and addictive. So really different than everything else in this UnHaul, but that's what you get here. Next is a book called Forbidden. This is by Ted Decker and Tosca Lee. If this sounds familiar, I'm also unhauling The Line Between by Tosca Lee. This is the first book in the Books of Mortals series. It takes place after the apocalypse and everything is resolved and the world lives in a state of peace, but only because every single person left is actually dead or stripped of their humanity. And then this one guy, Ram, stumbles upon this vial of blood that will restore him to life in the former sense of the word. And so he is then thrust on this adventure to restore humanity across civilization. Unfortunately, the restoration of humanity also means the reemergence of anger and greed and, what does it say? Ambition and hatred. Hatred, ambition, and greed. It says set in a terrifying medieval future where grim pageantry masks death. This tale of dark desires and staggering stakes peels back the layers of the heart for all who dare to take the ride. This is also very unlike a book that you would find on my channel, but it was purchased with a project in mind of kind of comparing the writing of Tosca Lee, which I've now been exposed to the writing of Ted Decker, which I have a ton of books from but have not read. And I realized Tosca Lee and Ted Decker wrote a book together. Well, this is interesting. So I'm not sure this is something that I'm like dying to read. Like I said, it's very uncharacteristic of my reading tastes, but it's something that I want to have on my shelf because once I have read a Ted Decker book, I do want to dive into this one and see what I have. See where the jewels or values or see where the goodies of these two authors truly lie. So, one more. This one's a chunker. This is the Book of American Martyrs, and this is by Joyce Carol Oates. Also a little bit different than everything else in this UnHaul. This is a literary fiction novel. It follows the families of two men. The first is an abortion provider in Ohio, and the second man is the man who assassinates him. He is an evangelical who believes he's carrying out God's will when he kills the abortion provider. And it sounds like the book follows the families after the fact. I purchased this book even knowing that it was a little unlike me because the subject matter really interests me. I'm fascinated by the concept of doing evil, like the end justifying the means. It fascinates me, and so this is a really good example of that, and it's huge. If it sounds like your kind of thing, if you're dying to read 730 pages of book, then by all means go ahead and claim this as your own. Brand new book outlet copy, never been read. I was sent a duplicate. So there you have it. That is my huge second Claim My UnHauled Books video. All these books will be listed in the description box below. Let me know if you're interested. 1 book per person, first come, first serve. All the other details are listed down below. I will be replying to your comments of this video, asking you to contact me to give me your shipping information if I don't already have it. That's all, I think. Like that wasn't enough. If you aren't particularly interested in any of these books, thank you anyways for watching. I will continue to do these unhauls. I think they're fun. You guys seem to like them. I'm enjoying myself. So until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.